G'day everyone, great to have your company once again on the NTFA Footy Show. Rick Fontaine with you. We're here, of course, with thanks to DLM Machinery. It has been a very big week in football, of course. The Tasmania-Queensland game at North Hobart Oval, over 7,000 packing it into there. It was a great day, and we are going to reflect on that and can't wait to catch up with the reigning Alistair Lynch medalist. He had a great day and, of course, a moment where he won the game, sealed it for Tasmania. Sam Siggins will be a special guest for us a little bit later on in the show as well. Another club in focus, we're going to catch up with Old Launcestonians President Tom Harrison this week. And in women's football, well, she's had a big few weeks as well. Jenna Griffiths is going to join us from the Bridgenorth Football Club, so we look forward to catching up with her as well. And a big milestone coming up out of the Longford Footy Club. So plenty to get through, but as we do every week, time now to show you our winning photo with thanks to Crafty Cuts Little Rivers Brewing Company. Now, you might take a look at this photo here. This is a Georgetown under-18 side, and you think, well, there they are. They're looking a little bit sombre. You'd think they might be in a bit of strife. They're in trouble in the game. Well, what I love about this is under-18s. They were leading 61-1 at this stage at half-time in their match. Well, they are so focused on what the coach is saying, and I thought it's an absolute beauty and very inspiring, I think, as well to the young footballers coming through to be focused throughout the 4 quarters of footy. So that is this week's winner from the Georgetown Football Club, and they'll take home that 4-pack of Crafty Cuts. For your chance, of course, to win, send us through a pick, and if we choose it, well, you'll win that prize pack next week as well on the Footy Show. Let's have a look at what has happened and the state of play in the men's competitions firstly before we go to a break. And there is the ladder as it stands at the moment. And as you can see, Hillwood, well, they remain on the top of the ladder. No change to the top 2 with Hillwood and Rochalee both recording wins. Longford, well, they jump from 4th to 3rd, and that is a move there that they've made after their victory. And we might just bring up some highlights now from Longford's game. They took on Scottsdale last week while we go through the ladder. And here is some highlights of the game. As I said, Longford victorious, moving up to 3rd place on the ladder. Also, South Launceston, they are sitting in 4th place on 6 wins. And Bracknell, well, they've back on the winners list and into the top 5 with their first win in 5 weeks. They were too good for Georgetown. Bridgenorth, they drop out of the 5, but only on percentage from Bracknell. Deloraine now 2 games out of the top 5 on 3 wins for the season. And then we've got Scottsdale and Georgetown who are next. They're making up the last 2. So good crowd there at Scottsdale as well. And great to get some highlights. Benny Donaldson, our man on the job, down at Magpie Land last week. Let's have a look at the matches coming up this weekend in the men's Premier Division of the NTFA. We'll bring them up for you now. Longford are taking on Bracknell. Now, these are big rivals, Longford and Bracknell. This is going to be at 2 o'clock. Should be an absolute beauty between 3rd and 5th on the ladder. Top of the table, speaking of great matches, this one, Hillwood versus Rochalee. 1st versus 2nd match of the day out at Hillwood on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Georgetown are at home to Deloraine. And we've also got Bridgenorth taking on South Launceston. Just noting that that game is getting underway at 2:30 down at Parrot Park on Saturday afternoon. So that's what we've got coming up in the men's Premier Division. Let's take a quick look now at the Division 1 ladder. Interesting stages here as well. And we can see that Old Scotch, well, they are now 2 games clear on top of the ladder. Actually, no change in the ladder at all to where it was last week. Everyone in the same positions. So as I mentioned, Scotch have moved 2 games clear and remain undefeated after easily, in the end, defeating the reigning premiers St Pat's. Lilydale and Perth take up 3rd and 4th. Old Launcestonians remaining in 5th position after their 3-goal victory over Bridport. And Evandale, have a look at the percentage there. Old Launcestonians and Evandale, 5th and 6th, just 0.34% out of the 5, Evandale at the moment. followed by East Coast, who are a game and percentage out. And then we have Bridport, Uni and Meander making up the rest of the ladder positions there as well. So let's have a look at what's coming up this weekend in the matches in Men's Division 1. And Meander, well, this is a bottom battle for the bottom. It is Meander taking on the University of Tasmania, and this game at 2 o'clock out at Westbury Recreation Ground. Important game this, 3rd versus 5th, Lilydale versus Old Launcestonians. They've built up a bit of a rivalry over the last few years, these two. That game at Lilydale at 2 p.m. and just 3 matches happening this weekend. There's a few buys. On Saturday at 2:30 down at the NTCA ground, Old Scotch against East Coast. Should be too strong for them. Bridport, Perth and Evandale and also St Pat's have the bye this weekend. So that is the matches that we've got coming up in NTFA Division 1. Now, before we go to a break, let's have a look at the state of the Bogues MVP and very interesting stages here as we have a look at the Men's Premier Division first of all. Just 1 vote separating the top 3. Jordan Cousins, of course, played for Tasmania last weekend. A big congratulations to Jordan, the only male from the NTFA to be selected. But he is on top with Isaac Thompson, who picked up 6 votes in their win over Deloraine last week for Hillwood. Josh Woolley in the top 3. He's just a vote behind as well, rocketing back into contention. And he had a big game as well for Bracknell, picking up 6 votes against Georgetown. So that's our top 3. Jay Blackberry right in contention as well on 18 votes. And finally, the men's Division 1. Well, John McKenzie from Old Scotch Football Club is still our leader after round 11. He's on 34 votes from William Haley of the Perth Football Club. Perth have just had a dip in form over the last month or so, but he still got in the votes. He picked up 2 votes against Lilydale in that clash. And then we've got just 3 votes separating the next 4 players. We can see Alex Jordan from Evandale currently occupying 3rd, and Thane Bardenhagen starting to make a bit of a move as well from Lilydale, picking up 5 votes in their victory over Perth. He is in 4th. So that is the state of the MVP with thanks to Bogues. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's our Club in Focus for this week.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice, call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
Welcome back to the NTFA Footy Show, and it is now time, of course, for our weekly segment, Club in Focus, brought to you by Harrison Agents. And speaking of Harrison Agents, well, here he is, Tommy Harrison. Good to see you, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
No, great to have you on. And, well, we may as well use the opportunity as well, because you're not here purely to talk about Harrison Agents, but thank you for your support of the Footy Show. And, of course, hasn't only been the Footy Show, but in the past with Talking Sport Tasmania. It's greatly appreciated.
No, absolute pleasure. We love anything to do with community and especially community sports. So, yeah, love being involved.
Brilliant. As I said, we haven't got you here just to talk about Harrison Agents. It is our Club in Focus, which is Old Launcestonians this week, of which you are the president. It is a club with a rich history, but for those not familiar with Old Launcestonians, they might be watching from around Tassie and those interstate as well. Talk us through a little bit about the history of the club and sort of how it all and when it all began.
Yeah, so the club originally formed in 1931 as an extension of Launceston Grammar School. So originally they played out at Bethune Park up until the early 2000s. I think in that time, putting me on the spot a little bit, but I think there's been 12 premierships and 5 state premierships. Actually, might be 13 premierships. So, yeah, it has got a rich history. And obviously we're in Invermay Park now. And so we've made that step about 20 years ago. And, obviously bringing on the women's team a few years ago was another big sort of landmark milestone for the football club as well.
Absolutely. We'll pop up a couple of photos here. Firstly, the men, of course, winning the Reserves Premiership last year. Special day for them, of course, out at UTAS Stadium, winning that grand final. And I guess for you guys as well, and there's 3 of the big stars of the club overall with Old Launcestonians as well. But winning the Reserves Premiership, of course, the women made the Premier Division grand final. Now, even though they lost to, a very strong Launceston side, it was a terrific game, but they know how to enjoy themselves as well. Tom, I'm assuming that's probably Silly Sunday or Mad Monday or something like that, but talk to us about the women and what they bring to the club, because I know it's a very social club, but your numbers seem to be fantastic.
Yeah, the women have bringing the women's side into our football club has just been a real game changer, and having that really solid integration between the women's and the men's has been what is certainly a unique experience and has changed the face of the football club. And having the shared players dinners, doing some trainings together, and it's a really good community. I think just having the boys, whilst it was great, this is a proper example of a community when you've got both men and women, I suppose. Working towards a common goal. So it just couldn't be happier. Best thing we've ever done. Got some fantastic girls down there. And it just adds so much, and just in terms of the enjoyment from the boys, putting on great events. Prior to that, we really had a football club with lots of boys and a handful of girls that would be involved. But it's certainly my experience, and I think for all the members, it's a better experience having the women's team.
Wasn't always roses for Old Launcestonians. I mean, the club were cellar dwellers for a long period of time as well. Is there a moment, or can you put your finger on a turning point that is on and off the field that has seen the club really grow? Yeah.
Look, I probably think we're really at a rock bottom, I think, when we sort of had a year off from Invermaid Park, and we were really struggling financially and player retention, player recruitment. We really were sort of on the nose. But it was just, I think we just decided to step back and recognise some of our key points of difference, which probably were our history and our location for the ground. And also I thought we've got sort of, really good sort of solid colours, and it's a brand that sort of you feel there's a bit of history. And so we sort of recognised that, and then we sort of really moving away from focusing on how you run a football club to how you'd run a business. And we treated the players and members as if they were our customers, I suppose, and we really focused on value delivery. So it was all about how can we create more value for the people being down here without just offering out cash to play football. Yes. So, a heavy focus on ensuring that we had the coaches. We recruited, really focused on values, getting the right people. We really focused on having great club events. And that started to build something. And then it's, as we've sort of evolved a bit more, it's, engaging those past players and so then the players can feel there's more history, they're playing for more than just themselves. And then also sort of, engaging with the grammar school, and bringing those players in, which we've recently had some good success, especially from the girls team, getting lots of grammar girls through there. So it's been a strategic approach rather than luck. And we've just really but it's really been focused on how can we deliver more value to our players. Yeah, fantastic. And we've seen that with grammar, of course, with obviously a great stepping stone for when they're leaving, I guess, school football to coming down to Old Launcestonians. And I guess the club also getting involved from a coaching perspective, and a couple of faces we'll bring up here, of course, heavily involved with the club is when you recruited Abby Green, when she, obviously there she is there with Jen Guy, of course, putting on the Tassie jumper last weekend at North Hobart Oval, Old Launcestonian leaders there. But Abby coming on as the senior women's coach, having played AFLW, and of course a very familiar face, Jay Schultz, also has been very important to the club as well when he came on board, a bit of assistance and playing a few games as well. What has that done for the club? Yeah, well, look, I mean, that was really fortunate. Obviously, there was a connection there with Abby's brother, Lyndon, and then also I knew of Jay in Melbourne, so there was a bit of luck involved in, having a prior connection there to getting them across. But, I mean, certainly having people of that profile and ability and leadership has certainly lifted the professionalism at the football club, but also, obviously, people, get the opportunity to play and get coached by these types of individuals. It certainly is unique for Tasmanian football, and so not only are the great people to have involved at the football club, but certainly it gives our players and members something to sort of be really proud of, that they've been involved. And seeing Abby and Jen run out there on Saturday, a lot of our girls, after they played Bridgenorth, came in and watched on TV, and to think 5 or 6 years ago you'd have players of any level, for the OLs representing, the top female athletes in the state was something that's not lost on us. And it's, to see OLs up there with, players from all the, perhaps higher levels down south and things like that. It was a remarkable achievement. And we're really grateful for them.
Yep, puts it into perspective. It's fantastic. Tommy, big weekend coming up for the club, of course, sitting 5th in the men's, taking on Lilydale this week, and of course for the women, that big battle for top 2 up against Old Scotch on the weekend. So it's going to be a massive weekend of footy. No doubt you've got a fair bit to see, but great to have you on. Thanks for being part of our Club in Focus this week with Old Launcestonians, mate. We wish OLs all the best for the rest of the year.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
Tommy Harrison joining us, president of the Old Launcestonians Football Club, and also, of course, our sponsor in Harrison Agents. Time for a quick break. It's women's footy coming up next.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice, call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
All right, well, thanks to Cleanaway, we are back with another women's segment for this week. Unfortunately, Abby unable to be with us, picked up a little bit of an injury during the course of the week at footy training, and we hope she's back up and at 'em very quickly. So best wishes to you, Abby. But this week, we've got a very special guest. Well, she has had a massive month of football as well. Jenna Griffiths from the Bridgenorth Footy Club, the Parrots, joins us. G'day, Jenna.
Hi, how you going?
Going very well. It has been a big week.
It has been.
You're bright, you're bubbly, you're smiling still. A lot to take in the last few weeks.
Yeah, a lot going on the last couple of months, but it's great to be back at club footy. Parrots.
Yeah, back into that this week. Obviously played with the rep side recently as well, and very tight game down in Hobart. Then, of course, a big win over the Northwest. But last week, talk to me through what happened at North Hobart Oval. What sort of experience was that for you, pulling on the Tasmanian Guernsey?
Yeah, look, I think the rep series was a great lead up to the state game. You know, your opposition one week and then your teammates next. Yeah. But I think we gelled really well, and pulling on the Tasmanian Guernsey, it's always a pleasure. I've pulled it on a couple of times before. Yeah. And it's not just playing footy, I think. I think it's more playing for your club, playing for your friends, and more importantly, your family. Look, my dad's had a lot to do with my footy career, and he always enjoys watching me run out there in the big map. So, fantastic. It was awesome pulling it on again and running out with a great bunch of girls. We gelled really quickly. It was awesome,
We'll get on to the club shortly, and of course, your great coach there, in a very passionate man and Bridgenorth man in Bobby Beans. But tell us about Deb Reynolds and what you got out of her leadership, because she's done some exceptional things over a number of years now. What did you get from that?
Yeah, look, I've watched her coach last year at Old Scotch. Always a bit jealous of everyone that got coached from her. I've had a bit to do with her over the years, especially in the junior career. But she's just awesome. Her wealth of knowledge is just unreal. You know, you can't put a price on it. She was just brilliant, and I learned a lot from her, and just her organisation and knowledge. It's just you just can't put a price on it.
No. Yeah. Let's go back. Juniors, 2017, Tamar Valley Juniors. You played your early days of footy down there. What inspired you to play football?
Oh, so I used to play soccer. My dad actually was a part of the board that got women's football up and going. So he said, "Oh, come on, play a bit of footy." So off I went. I was a part of the first team of Tamar Demons, I believe, or Tamar Cats originally. It just flew from there.
And it went from there. You obviously then moved to Launceston last year and part of a premiership team there. This year, you're playing with Bridgenorth. Now, you guys are absolutely flying. You're undefeated. You're, I think, 4 games clear and a stack of percentage as well. So can't see you losing top spot. But what do you think's been the big catalyst for the massive improvement for the club this year?
I think Bobby's recruited really well. He's brought in a lot of players with a lot of knowledge, though. And I think the girls that originally were there have stepped up a lot. And we just gelled. the club's incredible. Everyone puts in the work, the amount of volunteers, and Bobby himself, he puts in the effort, gives us stats every week, gives us things to improve on every week. We sit down and watch our game the previous week, and we do that as a team.
Yeah.
I think that's what's brought us together, and we're all striving to win and to be better every week, and we're enjoying it on the way. So win, lose or draw.
It's brilliant. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bobby's always a bit of a thinker and likes to do things outside the square. Do you guys go to Victoria and have a bit of a pre-season over there as well?
Yeah. So I wasn't a part of that game. I was only just coming into Bridgnorth then. But yeah, the girls travelled across to Melbourne and played a team over there, which was an awesome experience for them. I think we broke an ankle over there, Maddie Whitney, but she's back now, which is awesome. But yeah, great experience as well.
And how did you find yourself at Bridgnorth? How did that transpire?
So I did a pre-season before going for Lonnie as well, but went over to Lonnie. I think it's always been, from down the river, Bridgnorth's always been a pathway for me. And it's where home is. My brother's there, so
bit of a natural progression.
Yeah, went
Fantastic.
there. A lot of friends there. So.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few pics of your last few months. This is a bit of a pictorial of the life of Jenna Griffiths over the last month. But of course, there's the 4 Bridgnorth girls. Of course, yourself included, part of that Tasmanian team last week as well. And they're getting that number 15 jumper. Fantastic. A special occasion for you, of course. And the rep series, there you all are. 6 of you representing the NTFA in the rep series a few weeks ago as well. But what for you makes the Bridgnorth club tick? Because it is a great club. I mean, I think it's probably the only club in a town that really isn't a town, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a good following. The men's side is going well as well, just on the verge of the top 5 in the Premier Division. But what makes it tick?
It's just the volunteers, all the work behind, and I think we all rally around each other. Like even our senior coach, Ollie Cook, sent us all messages after the rep game. Like that's just what makes a club culture so good. Like everyone just gets along. Great function. And Brad on the socials, shout out to him. He's brilliant out there. Gets our name out and everyone compliments that as well. So, yeah. Yep,
great Facebook page. Brad, make sure you share this show tonight, mate, as well. Just finally, with everything that's been going on in your life, obviously a premiership in the NTFAW last year, rep side, Tassie side, you're 18 years of age, the pathway of football now that we know what's going to happen. Has this inspired you even further that footy's been the right choice, because there is a pathway, particularly at your age as well, and you've had a taste of representing the state? Yeah, it's super exciting. Of course, I'll take any opportunity that comes my way. Keep striving for that, get better every week. If it ever came around, awesome. If not, I'm happy. Just keep ticking along at clubs. But yeah, it's always awesome pulling on the map. And if there's an AFLW team for Tassie, be honoured to play for them. Brilliant. Well, there will be. There'll be a VFLW as well. You've made a pretty good start to your career, though. A premiership last year and obviously a big year this year. Great to catch up with you. Thank you for coming on the show. And we wish, of course, back in the, well, it's all about the club now as we get into the second half of the year, but we wish you and the Parrots well. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for having me, Rick. Awesome. Great to have Jenna Griffiths with us on the show. We're going to continue on the theme now and have a look at the current ladder in the Women's Premier Division as well. So there we can see how it's all ticking along. And as we spoke about, Bridgnorth on top of the ladder. We're going to show some highlights from the game up at Scottsdale on the weekend. With thanks to Benny Donaldson, Scottsdale took on Old Scotch. But as we see, Bridgnorth currently on top of the table. They are 4 games clear and a stack of percentage as well from Old Scotch, who move up to second after their win over Scottsdale. They're on 24 points. Old Launcestonians, they dropped down to 3rd place. And South Launceston have now opened up a pretty handy break in 4th spot, as well as a fair bit of percentage after their 61-point win over Launceston. Things getting a little bit tougher for Scottsdale now. Have found a bit of form. They really actually pushed Bridgnorth a couple of weeks ago as well, and that was going to make it pretty tough, that loss against Scotch for the Magpies. They are a game and a bit of percentage out, and we've got Launceston as well. And there's Alex Hall on picture. I want to give a shout out to Alex. She only had a little bub about just over probably 3 months ago and playing her first game back for Scottsdale on the weekend. And at the same time, she kicked the goal, which is fantastic. So great to see one of the stars of the NTFAW back in action. All right, let's have a look at what's coming up in round 10 this week in the NTFAW. Some very important games. Big rivals here, and Saturday at 10:25, it is Old Scotch, and they are taking on Old Launcestonians. A very important game, second versus third, and then also another home game for Scottsdale, must win against Launceston at 10:25 up at the Scottsdale Recreation Ground. And, well, down at Parrot Park in Bridgenorth, it is Bridgenorth taking on South Launceston. That game at 10:55 on Saturday morning. Time to have a quick look now at the Division 1 ladder in the women's. And there it is in front of you now on the screens. And we can see that the Meander Valley women, well, they remain on top of the ladder. And they are unbeaten. Of course, they had that draw with Deloraine a couple of weeks ago. They defeated Hillwood in an absolute thriller by 3 points last week. But what that loss for Hillwood has done, it's actually seen Deloraine move up to their highest spot of the season. They're actually in second place now, and they've got the 5 wins, just the 1 loss and a draw. So they've got a real chance to look at cementing that spot this week as well. As I mentioned, Hillwood third, Georgetown in fourth, and then Evandale, Longford, and East Coast women making up the remainder of the ladder positions there. This week's matches, round 10 as well in Division 1. We'll take a look at the schedule. Tomorrow night, Friday night at 7 o'clock, we've got a game. Deloraine are taking on Evandale. And 2 games to complete round 10 on Saturday afternoon. Meander Valley take on Longford. That is out at Westbury at 10:25. And Hillwood taking on the East Coast Swans at Hillwood. That's also at 10:25. So that is all the action coming up in the NTFAW. Time now to have a quick look at the Bogues MVP and how that's standing. Firstly, in the women's Premier Division. Well, she didn't play last week, of course, because she was representing Tasmania. But have a look at the lead that Emily McKinnell's got. She leads by 18 votes after round 9. Incredible. Sophie Farrow from Old Launcestonians is now in outright second on 18 votes. And then we've got a number of players, Hayley Breward, Alana Boyack, Jenna Griffiths, there she is in 15 votes there, and Deanne Taylor, of course, who was the best player for Tassie in the state game last week from Scottsdale on 15 votes. Now, looking at Division 1, and, well, Tasmanian Devils coach and Georgetown player Jodie Clifford is leading the way. She maintains a 5-vote lead there from Georgia Rowley of Evandale. She's on 12, as is Jade Nichols, and Hannah Mitchell-Grimer having a very good season for Deloraine on 12 votes as well. So things a lot tighter in Division 1. All right, that's all we've got for women's football. Thanks to Cleanaway this week. Time for a quick break. When we come back, well, we're going to be joined by the man of the moment in Tasmanian football, Sam Siggins.
Durable, reliable, heavy duty. Get the power you need from the people who know machinery. For sales, parts, servicing and expert advice, call DLM Machinery today or visit dlmmachinery.com.au.
Been enormous today, Adrian Williams back there for Queensland. And he'll have some more work to do here. Tasmania pressing hard, a 1-point lead. Thrown up, Siggins out of the ruck. Slapped out of there to Cousins, slammed it on the boot, no accuracy, might pitch and stay in. It does, and Trick was across the line. A little fortunate in the end, perhaps, Jordan Cousins. As we have a look at the night sky of Hobart. Sun setting now, artificial light taking over at the ground. It's pretty dark out there, but it's Tasmania by a point as it's thrown back in. Siggins out of the ruck, Sammy Siggins on the left, it's drifting towards the goals! Sammy Siggins, huge superstar! He does it again, and he's mobbed by his teammates as he kicks Tasmania 7 points clear.
Vander Cooling's got his voice back, but someone who has got his voice back, I'm sure it's been a big week. What a day it was. It's a great pleasure to welcome to the Footy Show for the first time, Sam Siggins. G'day, mate. Nice to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
G'day, Rick. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. It's been a big week.
I bet it's been a big week. We might get to the occasion very shortly and the significance of it, but what was going through your mind at that ruck contest? Because, I mean, obviously at the time you were up by a point, deep in your attacking zone, but was that your intention to try and get clean possession and just have a ping?
Yeah, I think leading up to it, there was a number of stoppages inside our forward 50, and if you watch it back, I think I tried to grab it pretty much every time. I just couldn't get any space. But yeah, I try not to do it every time, but I just saw it as an opportunity when he got under the ball, and I just saw an opportunity to grab it, and then luckily there was enough space out the back, to put it on the boot, and yeah. I was lucky it went through.
Magnificent. We've got a photo here just of the aftermath of it, and when everyone was coming to you, and some great photos, of course, taken by Solstice Digital. But there's one of the NTFA boys from Rochalie there, of course, the only one from the NTFA, Jordan Cousins, I think one of the first ones there to you as well. But it was a special moment. I mean, 7,189. We got a shot of the crowd here. It was just a great day. It's an amazing ground. I've run on that a few times, and it's just a bit of an amphitheatre there almost. I mean, did you feel the crowd really lift that side? Because you were down it by 4 points at three-quarter time. Talk us through that atmosphere.
Yeah, we certainly did. We always knew leading into it that it was going to be a big crowd, and obviously there's a lot of circumstances around why there was a big crowd, and we knew it was going to be a big occasion for Tassie footy, and we certainly felt the crowd slowly building before our game, and then throughout the game, certainly right from the start when we kicked our first goal, you could certainly hear the crowd, and it was echoing on the ground. And I think North Hobart's a really good ground to have the crowd involved, because they're right up on top of you. And in that last quarter, it was really loud, and it was really special. It reminded me of when I was a kid going back and watching the VFL boys, the Devils days, and they were really special times. And I think it was a really good day for Tassie footy.
I think a brilliant decision to have that game played at North Hobart Oval. It's an amazing ground, as you said. But the significance of the win, Sam, the statement that it says to the rest of the country, and it was noticeable about the passion that all the players had to pull on that Tasmanian Guernsey with the map on the front. What do you think this does for football, in particular now with the decisions that have been made and what we look forward to for the kids? Because there were a stack of young kids at the footy on Saturday. What sort of statement do you think this will bring and hope that it brings?
Yeah, I think it's a massive statement. I think with the crowd turning up and having such a great atmosphere, it goes to show that we can put on a good show like that, and Tassie people will get around that and support that. When you spoke about the kids, we certainly felt that on the ground when they came on the ground post-game. There was a lot of kids around and really excited, and I think that's massive for Tassie footy, to have our kids excited with the potential opportunity of an AFL side and also a VFL side potentially as well. I think it gives them a great opportunity from a young age to aspire to potentially play, if it is AFL or if not VFL. Hopefully play in front of crowds like that would be really special for them. But I think, it was really important. It didn't matter if we won or lost, but I think it was really important that we made a statement and showed that Tassie can perform, and I think it was really special that we could get it done in the end.
It was a quality game, and it was tight all day. And I'm not sure, in particular, also with the women's game, I think Queensland, I wonder what thoughts they had. I know their women's team, Queensland, thought they were I heard last night a comment that they thought they were going to win by 10 goals. Well, it proved to be anywhere but that. But what did you get out of the day? Because obviously you guys play with different clubs. Some are coming from different leagues, of course, as well, up the Northwest and the SFL and the NTFA. But the way you guys gelled, how much do you put that down to Mav Weller and I guess the coaching staff as well?
Yeah, the work that Mav Weller had with us guys right from the start. Like, we only really had 2 or 3 big main sessions together as a whole group.
Right. And
our full coaching staff in Trent, Ace, and Adam as well, and all the support team really brought us in together. And right from the start, I really felt like Mav really sent a message that it's not about being individuals, it's about playing your role, and that was what was most important. I certainly felt like on the day, it felt like we played together for a long time, as we said post-game, we'd love to do it week in, week out, but it was a really special time, and it was really cool to play with the best players around the state, and it's something I'll treasure for a long time.
Absolutely, I'm sure you will, as many will. Just want to get your thoughts on moving away now to the TSL, and your thoughts on Tasmanian footy, because obviously since coming back from Adelaide, you've been part of the TSL for a few years now, and obviously the changes that are going to happen at the proposed at the end of next season. What are your thoughts on that, Sam, in terms of, I guess, the way football is going to be directed as we get closer to an AFL and VFL team, which is, of course, only a couple of years away?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going to happen there and how it's going to play out. But I think from my point of view, I just want to make sure it's set up in the best way possible. It's going to suit having an AFL side and also a VFL side. So whatever that decision is, as long as it can feed into those programs, I think that's the most important thing. And it's obviously way out of my pay grade to be thinking of those decisions. But as long as Tassie footy's heading in the right direction and working towards the goals that we want to do, then I think that's important. Yeah.
You've been part of the AFL system, of course, as we mentioned with the Adelaide Crows a few years ago. Sam Siggins' future, mate. Have you got any goals now with obviously the pathway set of being involved in some capacity, either with VFL or AFL team? Yeah,
I'm not too sure yet. Obviously, I just want to finish off playing footy, but yeah, I'd love to be involved. I will admit it was pretty exciting when I saw a potential VFL side coming in 2025. I'm not too sure whether it's going to play out or not, or whether I'll be too old or not. But it is something that I'd be definitely jump at if there was an opportunity there. But yeah, it's really exciting times, and for a lot of Tassie guys with an opportunity to potentially be involved in those programs, it's really enticing.
Well, it is only 18 months away. I mean, you're the reigning best and fairest. You were best on ground last week in the state game. I think Sammy Siggins can get himself up for 2025, surely.
Yeah, I definitely feel like my body can handle it. So, yeah, I'd be if it does come, I'll certainly put my hand up if they want me to play.
Fantastic. Look, it was a great day. Probably a few little things that could have been done a little bit better, and I'm sure that it will be fixed next time we have a game, including the signage on the ground. It still had "Lest We Forget" on the ground, as we can see there, obviously going back to a couple of months there. So that didn't find enough time to get rid of that. I'm not sure what that was, but that was interesting to say the least. But the women's game as well was an absolute beauty, and a big congratulations to Scottsdale's Deanne Taylor, of course, from the NTFA women's competition, who was judged to be Tasmania's best player. And there we've got all the Tassie girls from the NTFA there as well, and Deanne there on the left, and then we've got a pic of her with their medal as well. So a great performance from her individually. But Sam, it was a magic day, and obviously great to see a lot of people at the ground as well, and not making too much noise in terms of the political side of the to and for and against with the stadiums. But mate, look, great to be a part of it. It was terrific to see you play so well, and I mean, we couldn't have written the script any better for you to kick the sealer in the last few seconds as well. I'm sure that's going to be a moment you don't forget.
Yeah, it certainly is. I didn't really feel like that was the way it was going to end, but I know in years to come I'll certainly look back at it and really treasure that moment. And it is a special time for Tassie footy, and for a finish like that was I'm really grateful.
All right, mate. Well, look, we really appreciate you jumping on the footy show with us on this Thursday, mate. We wish you well for the rest of the TSL season, of course, and hopefully catch up with you a little bit later on in the year as well. But really appreciate you jumping on with us.
No worries at all, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. That's Sam Siggins. What a star he is of Tasmanian football, reigning Alistair Lynch medalist, and, of course, best on ground last weekend as well. All right, before we wrap it up, we've got a big milestone coming up in the NTFA this week, and that is out at Longford. Sam Graham, well, he is an absolute star of the Longford Footy Club. He's going to play his 300th club game for them. He's one of their favourite sons. They play at home against Bracknell, so arch rivals Bracknell. Couldn't have probably painted a picture any better than this. Senior debut way back in 2005, so 18 years, 250 plus senior games. Poor fella. 6 times he's been a runner-up in the best and fairest, would you believe, including in his first year, but he is a life member of the club. And, what a finish it was last year for him when he took out the medal for best on ground in last year's reserves grand final that Longford won. So go well on Saturday afternoon, Sam Graham, 300 club games. Well, that is all we've got time for on the NTFA Footy Show. As always, a big thanks to you for your company. Send us in your favourite photos. And, of course, a big thank you to DLM Machinery. We'll catch you next week. Have a great footy weekend.